I know you've been waiting with bated breath, but I returned to the treadmill today for some interval sprints, and I feel like God. I think that I have to give credit to your knees over toes mini sled pull. I think maybe one session helped more than anything else I've done. I can't even front.
No way.
I swear to God, bro. After we did that and played tennis, my ankles never felt better. Which doesn't really make sense, and I'm not a doctor, of course. I can't verify these claims.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a feel guy, Jason. You know what I'm saying?
That's all. I mean, at the end of the day, as humans, it's all we've got. As creatures of God, the feel is what, I mean, even if you are a doctor who went to medical school,
loser,
you can't predict the vibes that are going on inside of your ligament vibes.
So I went to the doctor and I said, Doc, what's the vibes with my ligament? And he couldn't tell me. So I was like, okay, I guess I have to go to a...
Mr. Black, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The ACL and the ligament, the vibe has shifted in your ACL.
I mean, when they said them jeans is the doctor you should go see, I didn't really believe them.
It's kind of it's kind of crazy how, because the same thing happened to me. I just finished playing tennis a minute ago with the homie Nate, who was nice enough to write our great story in the New York Times a while ago.
Did you whip his ass?
We're kind of evenly matched, I would say.
Where did you guys play? With Glendale?
Yeah, just my normal courts. He loves it over there,
Yeah, we talked about it.
When you come from New York, where it's a little tougher to get a game,
yeah,
you get spoiled out here in Glendale, but
it's wide open.
But the problem in Glendale, the sidewalk is not the world's runway.
That is, yeah, Glendale.
There's a give and take. But let's move on. But I was saying, hey, like of all the year, like I did a year of PT. I did all this shit. I saw specialists. I went to places. I bought shit, and a lot of it helped. But like you just said, dragging 120 pounds of kettlebells around the park for an hour, a few days a week. In 2 weeks, my shit is so good.
A lot of people were like, oh, you made fun of it. And I'm like, of course I made fun of it. I'll continue to make fun of it. That doesn't mean it doesn't work. It's two different issues.
Yeah. Like, it still looks ridiculous. A grown-ass man strapping some sled and dragging it around the park. Like, yeah, it feels good, but it looks ridiculous. Just like, if I were shooting up heroin behind a Din Tai Fung at the Americana, yeah, clown me. I'm going to look dumb. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good.
I feel better than your fat ass after all those soup dumplings. You know what I mean? Well, I'm just happy that we're both feeling better, mentally and physically, of course. And if you're listening to this, that means you did purchase the How Long Gone stem player. Kanye had some leftovers. We were able to kind of do a blue and green, make up our own version. Mm-hmm. Those retail for unfortunately $300 USD.
And we don't make a dime off of those. That's just the cost that to make a custom one.
Exactly. And you get one episode of this podcast, so it seems pretty reasonable, like price wise. You guys give all this money to Patreon and shit. It's no different than the How Long Gone stem player if you really think
when
about
you
it.
give your money to Patreon, that's just pissing in the wind, throwing it off into the ether. When you buy a How Long Gone stem player, it's a tangible item. You hand it down. I'm going to give that to my grandkids.
You thought the CD with Jag Jaguar was the end, but we're going to continue to innovate audio. And this is the future, Jason. And when I talked to Ye, he was like, bro, you guys got to do this, fam. Like, you got to do this, fam. And I was a little on the fence because Neil Young had called me about doing a How Long Gone Pono player, and I just don't, it's tough. It's tough. You got these guys calling us. We're kind of in the big leagues now, and you got to make decisions. And although I disagree with Ye on almost everything, and I can't stand his music, I think the stem player, when applied to the How Long Gone podcasting medium, has a future. Donda 2, I don't know how well it's going to work. How Long Gone, guaranteed home run.
Yeah, as you kind of move up in the ranks, in the business world, all it really comes down to is the higher you are, the more difficult decisions you have to make. That's what they pay a CEO for. Someone's got to fire the CFO, And this is no different. And you had to make that call and say bye-bye to Neil, and that's fine. But I think what Kanye is doing, obviously, is being made fun of a lot because today he charged people, a couple $200-300 for his album, and it hasn't dropped yet, and he was supposed to announce like a Yeezy Gap Balenciaga thing today, and there's been a friend of the show, Jacob Gallagher, he's been watching it. It's a clock watch, but every hour
he's on the front lines of Ye Balenciaga Gap. He's taking a bullet for all of us, and we need to thank him for his service.
Yeah, thank you. But every hour there's a countdown that's like, in 55 minutes the new shit's gonna drop, and then
nothing drops
when it goes into when there's 3 minutes left into overtime, like when I'm watching my Liverpool Manchester game, and then it goes, wouldn't you know, it goes right back to the an hour, and I think it's probably still doing that. And it's a tough, Kanye, he is a genius, but he is bad at delivering things on time, and that's probably because he is working alone and he doesn't have a person being like, bro, you can't just keep doing this forever. But I think that what he's doing with the stem player, even though I love Spotify so much, he is disrupting an industry in a unique and innovative way versus just like complaining about it on the internet.
Well, he's not. Well, he's an idiot. To turn down $100 million from Apple is just bad business and stupid.
He doesn't need $100 million. He has $1 billion.
Yes, you do. Yes, no, he doesn't, bro. He's fucking broke. Honestly, don't believe this. Like, he spends too much money. There's no way he has $1 billion. There's absolutely no way that Kanye West has $1 billion.
Yes.
There's no way. There's no way.
Of course, on paper, it's a bad business move turning down $100 million, but also, he sees a greater vision through the glory of our Lord.
What's the greater vision?
The greater vision is we're in a world where Spotify and Apple and Tidal and all of these, well, not Tidal, but all these streaming
Amazon
services,
Music, Amazon
Music, all these, they controlled the game. And the reason why the record industry is so fucked is because of this. And like, it's all controlled by these labels, and no one's getting paid. And
here we go. Jason's got his third eye open today. Okay, go ahead, Chief.
This is
Chief.
This is half an eye. This isn't even one eye. This is
go off, Chief. No, look, do your little thing, bro. Do your little thing.
There's rudimentary, elementary information that we all know, but nobody has. Everyone just complains about it, but nobody is really kind of innovating. And Kanye,
this isn't innovative. That's what you're getting wrong.
It's 1,000% innovative. Okay,
it's not. This is what Nipsey Hussle did with a mixtape, and it was $100 a piece, and he sold 1,000 of them, or whatever. It's on a bigger scale. It matters more.
What's innovative about a mixtape? Something that's existed for decades. Kanye invented something from scratch.
What did he invent?
He invented the stem player.
He did not, bro. This shit looks like a broke boy fucking Beats pill. He didn't invent this. It's bad. It's like shitty technology that was sitting in a factory somewhere unused, and he loaded his album onto it. This is not innovative. The only thing that could be even considered innovative is what he's doing, but it's not, because it's basically fucking Bandcamp.
Well, that's where you're wrong.
This is Bandcamp with Mike Dean,
which
is cool. I mean, look, Bandcamp with Mike Dean is kind of what the sound we're going for when you think about it. So it's not like a shot. I just think that it's not innovative.
Well, the stem flare is innovative because it's truly an invention that has not been created before. He worked with a company and built it,
Jason,
and it's a tangible item that allows you to break down a song. It uses technology to break down a song into stems so you can listen.
Like, that's pointless for 99.9% of people. Don't need to hear just the drums on a Kanye West song. It's pointless. It's just something to talk about.
I wouldn't say it's pointless. I think that it's a step in the right direction. Kind of like how when I was talking about, like Neil Young and Joni Mitchell pulling their shit is not going to change the way that Spotify acts, but it's like the first brick in the wall where, 10 years from now,
nothing's going to change. This is going to go away. People are just going to go to fucking Zippy Share like you and your little DJ bros used to do and listen to the music. Only diehard dorks that have too much money will actually buy the stem player. The rest of the people are going to have to download it illegally, and it's going to look ugly on their phone, and the artwork may not match up. But these are indie sleaze problems for the year 2022.
I like it. I think it's cool to have this unique looking device that you can carry around in your pocket. It plays music. You could separate it if you want to freestyle. You can remove the vocals and start spitting over the drums.
That part actually, great point.
Because I just like that there's an attempt to innovate where you're offering something unique instead of just complaining or being like, we should get paid more because record labels suck.
You know what's cooler, Jason? You know what's cooler than innovating? Making $100 million for putting out an album on a streaming service where all you have to do is send an email. That's it. That's cooler.
Look, Kanye is willing to make the financial sacrifice for the better of better of our future, and I think that's commendable and admirable. Even though he is going through mental challenges at the very moment.
Challenges. Are you comparing him to Jesus Christ? Because it sounds like you are.
Well, Jesus had to crack a few eggs to make an omelet, and things are working out pretty good for the church. But
a good point.
Obviously, I don't think that the stem player is going to change the way we listen to music forever. I don't think it's going to affect the stock prices of Apple or Spotify. But I think that, I commend anyone who's at least doing something, anything, making an effort to try to do something to fix a problem that everyone complains about instead of just complaining about it.
There's no problem though. That's the issue. There's no problem. I can listen to whatever music I want to on my phone. I'm good over here. There's no problems
you're
over
a
here.
customer, not a artist. So the problem, it's great for the customer, it's bad for the artist. You know what I mean?
Oh, I understand. So you're siding with the artist because that's how you consider yourself. That's how you see yourself.
Well, I mean, you're a person who podcasts, right? You create art and then it's available on the platforms.
Yeah. Well, like I said, buy the How Long Gone stem player. It's $300. You can freestyle over the Brooks and Dunn instrumental theme song at the train station with your buddies or on the lunch
If
table.
you don't like the rhythm guitar,
just pull it. Just pull it. All right. Well, look, fuck the stem player. Donda 2 is not going to be good. But Mike Dean, if you want to produce an episode of How Long Gone, you know where to find us. And just one little bit of breaking news I heard from a high-placed source in the music business yesterday. Oasis is going to tour, Jason. Oasis is booking shows as we speak, and I can't further elaborate on that information, or I will be curbed next time I go to Manchester. But that is the word on the street. I can't verify with the second source, but luckily I'm not a journalist. I'm more of an Anadelvi. And so I'm just going to report this news as true. I don't know what these shows are like. I imagine they're large payday festival type.
You told me this earlier this week, and I have a lot of theories on how the tour should go, be rolled out, where it should, where the place should happen. My goal, I want to do 10 cities total. We start in Japan, we end in Manchester.
We do Rock Slide Fest, and then we just kind of go from there. And we're following them like the Grateful Dead. Is that what you're saying?
No. There's no festivals. These are standalones. We do Japan, and then we do Dodger Stadium. This is they're selling out the biggest venues.
I don't think Oasis could do Dodger Stadium.
What?
I really don't think they can. That's wild, bro.
Guns N' Roses sold it out like 2-3 nights in a row, bro.
Yeah, Guns N' Roses is for dumb people, and that is a bigger draw than the greatest band on earth, who's still relatively niche.
I like both bands. The lyrical content from Axl Rose
equally as dumb
is so much more intelligent, thoughtful than Oasis. I mean, I like Oasis,
thoughtful,
but when I remember being a kid listening to Oasis and being like, these lyrics are for retards.
Look, bro.
They're just like words that rhyme. They don't mean shit. I still like it.
Listening to lyrics is absolutely insane as an adult. You only listen to only children.
Chris, you're delivering so many hot takes that nobody agrees with.
Bro.
And I like that. I like that you're bucking the system.
No, listening to lyrics when you're like an emotional teenager is important and part of the development process.
Bro, listening to lyrics? I mean, you read fiction, bro. You can't say that.
Being like, oh, I love this song, but the lyrics don't do much for me in 2022 is absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
No. I'm not saying the lyrics don't do much for me. They're just like, and then I went for a walk, and I went to the park, and I like to get a cup of tea, and then the tea was too hot, and I think what a night.
So Welcome to the Jungle is a little more poetic to you?
Welcome to the Jungle. We've got fun and games. We've got everything you want. There's the people that you find wherever you may need. Look, I'll pull up November Rain right now, bitch.
No, November Rain is a classic. I can't even front.
Fuck you. Shut up. Don't backpedal.
But I'm saying to you that if you care about lyrics in 2022, you're a pussy. And I'll put that on baby.
Okay, and I will say this. You're a pussy if you care about lyrics in 2022. I don't know what year you were. It was not pussy. Was it 79, 78 when you were?
If you're an adult, it's put. Now, I don't mean actual.
Okay, well, if you are an adult in 2020 who isn't disturbed by thoughtless, useless, retarded lyrics, then you are a pussy. You're easily pleased by, childlike things.
Then you should probably stop listening to 21 Savage, bro, because it's not.
21's the only one who's doing it compared to what am I listening to Corday? Oh, I'm lit. I like to be lit.
Not Corday. No one should. We don't bring up Corday on this
21
podcast.
is great lyrics.
I think they're good lyrics.
All right. November Rain. When your fears subside and shadows still remain.
Yeah, that's great.
I know that you can love me when there's no one left to blame. So never mind the darkest. We still can find a way. Nothing lasts forever. Even cold November rain.
Yeah, that's
just that. Those 4 bars shits on the entire lyrical content of any Oasis song.
Okay, look, I mean, it's to each their own. You can have Guns N' Roses, one of the dumbest bands to ever exist. That's literally, it's the musical equivalent of a monster truck rally.
Maybe
no,
you're gonna be the one that
you can't do that. You have to read it. You have to read it like you read the Guns N' Roses. You can't perform it.
And that was not an excerpt of a song. That was the whole song. Those are the only words of the song.
I will listen to an Oasis song 100 times. I'll listen to almost anything before I listen to Guns N' Roses. Like that doesn't.
Yeah, I know.
Putting on Guns N' Roses is the equivalent of like drinking a Natty Light. I can't do it. I can't do it. Even though November Rain is November Rain is an undeniable classic song, great video, unbelievable, about as good as it can get for that era. But I don't want to listen to it. It's like Kendrick Lamar.
Where Oasis peak lyrically is all the roads that lead you there were winding. All the lights that light the way are blinding.
But I'm
saying that's good, but I'm saying that's the best they got.
I mean, that's as good as the Guns N' Roses bars you read. We have to move on. This could last forever. Oasis versus Guns N' Roses karaoke at Zebulon Friday night. Jason and I are hosting. You guys show up.
Nothing lasts forever. Even cold November rain. We have a guest today, Avery Trufelman. She's podcast royalty. She was a producer and contributor to the 99% Invisible podcast for many, many years, which is, one of the top echelon pods, covering design and architecture and all that shit. She was the host of the podcast For the Cut. She has a podcast called Nice Try about utopian societies, not unlike the Disney Village or Kanye's community somewhere in...
We live in a utopian society called Los Angeles, California, but Avery also has one of the greatest guest names maybe ever that we've had.
Yeah. And her parents both grew up working for WNYC, so she's kind of radio royalty. She's not unlike TJ, where she's a triple threat EGOT. She's able to host, produce, edit, upload all by herself.
All right, all right, Axel. Let's give Avery a jingle. All right, let's give Avery a call and never talk about Guns N' Roses on this podcast again. We're good to go. Avery, thank you for joining us here on How Long Gone. How are you?
I'm so excited. I'm such a huge fan. This is so funny.
Are you really a fan? I didn't even know you listened to this.
Oh no, I'm a goner all the way, and I have so many questions for you.
Well, we'll ask you some questions. You ask us some questions. It'll be like a podcast.
We call it a conversation, but other people call it something different. But that's kind of where we come at it.
Kings of elevated chat. It's true.
We call it a conversation and not anything else because we don't do any work or research beforehand.
That was my first question. Do you not do any research?
No.
Sometimes, but not on the level that you perform your research at, I'm assuming.
No, Jason does a classic 5 minutes before Google search. Since I do most of the booking, I usually am more aware of the guest. Like either I know their work or I know them personally.
Well, I think we need to clarify for her, Chris, what Chris is saying, that oftentimes not only do we not do the research, oftentimes I don't even know who the guest is. I've never heard of them.
But Jason reached out to me, so should I be super honored that you reached out to me, Jason?
Well, that depends on how cool you think I am.
Honored would be maybe going a little too far, in my opinion, but maybe flattered would work.
Obviously, I know who you are from podcasting. You have a large podcast pedigree over the years.
A pedigree, if you will, yes.
You have a pedigree that is very impressive for somebody twice your age, but I don't know why. The edible was probably hitting. I was on Twitter, and he was like, "Damn, maybe Trufelman would come on the pod." And then, wouldn't you know it, you said yes.
Well, it's really funny. My friend just told me about you guys like a day or two before you reached out to me, Jason. Because like, Nick Qua from Vulture.
Unfortunately.
Oh, he's one of your friends? That's interesting.
Well, Wesleyan.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't just.
We run everything.
You guys did drugs in college a couple times, and you call that friendship. I get it. Like I get it.
Okay, so you guys are old Wesleyan pals, and then you learned about our podcast a day or two before I cold DM'd you. And did you learn about that from the Vulture thing that he wrote?
No. He was talking to me as he was in the process of writing it. And he was like, but there's this one show and it's like two dudes in a room and it's actually so good. And I don't understand why. And I was so dismissive. But then like the way that I would put it is like, 4chan is sort of the waiting room for the deep internet. And you two to me were like the 4chan of the Two Dudes Talking podcast. Like I never understood why people liked it or what the appeal was. But then because Nick was like, I don't understand it. You have to like listen to it and help me understand the alchemy. I still don't understand it.
This is, I don't understand what's so hard to understand. This is my whole thing with this. It's like, I don't get it.
I get it, Chris. I get it. Because the format that we are in, Two Dudes Talking, it's like a format that like people make TikTok memes about. It's like, it's so like lame, and every single friendship, every group chat is like, dude, we should start a podcast.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so sick. We'll do a podcast. And like, that's what we do. But for some reason, nobody can figure out exactly why this is not like insufferable to listen to. Well, it is for some people, but
my question though is I don't think I analyze why I like things. I'm just like, I fucking love Third Eye Blind because it's good. I don't need to like, what does that say about me?
You don't experience like guilt or shame that other, like Nick Qua is like, I shouldn't like this podcast because I'm such a fucking dork, but for some reason, I guess I just do. And instead of just enjoying the magic and mystery of that, you have to figure out the reason why. And if you want the reason to be a bad thing, you'll find a bad thing.
No,
or
for
you'll
sure.
find a bad
for
reason.
sure. I guess, I just don't. I have no guilt about what I watch or what I listen to. Like I just don't care. I don't know if there's, maybe I'm just hollow and there's not much to explore.
Maybe instead of podcasters or artists, we're actually magicians.
I mean, well, Avery, but do you, I mean, obviously you deal with this shit all the time, but like, do you actually listen to podcasts?
The funny thing was like, it used to be my favorite thing. Like I would listen to podcasts coming back from parties and like first thing when I woke up, and I totally lost it in the pandemic. Actually, the pandemic was the first time I was like, oh my God, what is music? Like this music thing is so cool. And so I got Spotify in 2020.
Smart move.
Yeah, it's just in time.
Love those guys.
Yeah, great, fabulous company. We all love Spotify here.
Hey, you think that's funny? I don't. Okay, these musicians are coming for my money, and I'm not going to fucking stand for it.
That's why we invented the How Long Gone stem player. You can only
we
talked about it in the intro, but it's something. If you wanted to get in on the ground floor with us, we can do like a little truff player.
Oh my God. I'd be honored.
That's a great idea.
Listen,
that's a great idea.
I'm not like trying to analyze why your show works because of any guilty feeling. Let it be known. I have no guilt about being a goner. I just think it's so interesting just to like get right into the weeds really quickly. I watched podcasting go from like radio to podcasting, where in like radio, you were going from like the hour-long broadcast clock and like divvying it up, and you assumed everyone was driving. So you had to be like, interrupt your story in the middle of it to like catch everyone up on what just happened, instead of assuming that everyone was like with you from the beginning. They're just like things about the format that changed. Like it's been so interesting observing How Long Gone in this clinical way and being like, why does this work? And I think it works because it represents to me, the difference from like radio listening to podcast listening was car to commute. Like when I worked on 99% Invisible, our whole thing was like, oh, people are on a train. They're commuting to work. They have like 30 minutes. Let's give them some fun facts. Let's wrap it up before they hit the office. But now I'm like listening in my apartment while I wash dishes, and I'm sort of like tuning in and out. And your format works so much better for that. Like I don't want to have to pay as close attention to everything. So I don't know. Honestly, I'm like learning a lot from you guys.
I've never listened to podcasts that are like considered smart because I don't, it's weird. I know exactly what you mean. And I tried all that stuff and I was like, this just doesn't, I don't care enough. Like I only want to listen to dumb shit kind of.
Well, I don't think it's dumb shit. I think it's just, to me, it's like there's a thing called NTS. It's an internet radio thing. And you can listen to radio shows, like go down and pick, like you're picking a podcast. Or there's a thing called infinite mixtapes where it's a 24-hour looping of just a thing. It's like, here's a jazz channel, here's a hip-hop channel, whatever it is. And you just hit play and music just starts playing. And you can dive in and dive out whenever you want. And there's something so freeing about that where you don't have to like, all right, what am I going to listen to today? That sounds good. That doesn't sound good. Just to hit like, boom, hit play. Let's see what these fucking guys are talking about.
Wait, when it's just like the beat, is that like the equivalent of the YouTube channel that's like study beats for focusing? Like, are these just...
It's funny you say that, Avery, because yes, it is, but it's for guys that wore Stone Island 2 years ago. And,
this is lo-fi beats to do squat and deadlifts to.
No, but NTS is actually really good, but but the reason people think it's better, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, is because it's created by a human. Like it's like a DJ mix, right? It's not algorithmic in any way.
But it's kind of like when you're with your partner and you're watching Netflix or HBO Go or whatever, and you're like, what do you want to watch? And you're like, and you don't want to just go through the like, I'm in the mood for this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, that, and you just say like, just put on whatever, I don't care. I'm happier to watch something that I don't care about than have to figure out what I'm going to watch.
Choice paralysis. It's true.
Choice paralysis, yes.
That's the biggest thing we suffer from as a culture.
It's true.
I think there's problems in Russia, but yeah, that's pretty much the biggest.
I was just saying it's media gout. It's true.
I like that a lot. That's
Thanks.
good.
There's a pill for that.
No, but I feel like the interesting thing is we're almost making a return to like Howard Stern. You know, we just want like exactly what you were saying. Like we want to feel like it's being created by a human and we just want it to go on forever and we don't want to have to choose it. And I don't know, it's funny, like to me, because I don't think your show is stupid. Like I think your show is really smart and I think you're really good at interviewing people and you get really good tape.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think part of the appeal is that you don't like slow down to explain any of your references at all. Like make people feel like they're already on the inside. And I don't know, it just goes against everything that I have been trained to do. And it works so well. Like you are the 100 gecs to my Glenn Miller band. And I'm
damn. Okay.
I think that is high praise, but I think Chris and I are sort of enough in the older generation where we like that discoverability thing. We like being 13 and going to a record store and not knowing what any of this music is. And the joy that you get for discovering something yourself, figuring out yourself. You know, if we make a obscure reference to somebody and they take the time to go look it up and research it, then they feel like they have some ownership with that item. But you know, if we explain everything to you, then anyone can do it.
Exactly. That's why you're magicians.
And we have to gatekeep.
You know, that's my number. That's what I'm put on this earth for, is to gatekeep.
You gatekeep because you care. Yeah.
It's tough love. It hurts Chris more than it hurts us.
Exactly.
From going through that gate.
Exactly. But I just think that like growing up, Avery, I don't know how old you are or what your access to the internet was like in the early days, but like, I just think that the discoverability and of actually having to do a little work, like, yeah, I'm a boomer or whatever, but like it makes it taste better. You know what I mean? It makes it feel better. I think when you work for it, it's like when Jason drags his little, you know, weights around the park, he gets to have a treat after because he earned it, you know? And I think it's a similar situation where it's like, if you can just Google anything and read everything about it in 5 minutes, like you forget it and move on to the next thing. It goes back to the Netflix thing where it's like, you watch things like this Anna Delvey thing, which was absolutely trash. We watched it and I've already forgotten what happened. Like I don't think about it again because it's so disposable. And that's the fear.
It's 12 episodes of a girl getting kicked out of different hotels and I could not take my eyes off of it.
Did you watch it, Avery?
I started it and then it's so funny. I almost tweeted this today and then I was like, it's too mean. So I'll just say it to you.
Perfect.
Right away, my hackles went up because anytime something starts as a process story, it's a red flag that there's no story.
Oh, I see. Okay, so explain what you mean to people. Explain, because that was some insider terminology you're using.
Thank you. It's like, well, should we tell this to them or should we let them?
I'll put a pause break here so everyone can Google what process story means, myself included.
No, I just mean it begins with like a reporter, like on the trail, figuring it out. And I think, the reason I didn't tweet this is because it's like, would be subtweeting my entire industry, basically. But I feel like whenever it begins with like, oh, I heard a rumor about this man and then I went to check it out. It's like, yeah, that's how stories are.
Yeah, that's how every story starts.
That's how every story starts. There's always a backstory behind every story. Obviously, like that's your job, and you like reach dead ends, and like things don't work out, and you go down these rabbit holes. But if that's the whole story, then like,
what are we doing?
What are you doing? That can't be the focus. So right away, when it started out with like journalism, I was like, there's nothing. There's nothing here.
Well, do you think that your heckles went up more than the average bear because this is like directly personal to your life and career and something that you care deeply about? Whereas I'm watching it and I'm just like, oh, these reporters are cool. They're getting a lot of scoops and they're not giving up is what I love about them.
The best part of the whole show is that the old writers sit in an area called Scriberia. That's the only funny thing. That's the only funny part of the show.
Dude, I was high as hell watching it last night when they said Scriberia. I was like, Scriberia, that's pretty fucking good.
It's pretty good.
True. I hear that's true.
Oh, it's like actually a Manhattan magazine.
Okay, I hear it's true, but I have to say it's a rumor because I've technically worked for New York Magazine for 2 years and I've never been in the office and I don't really know anyone. Like to me, New York Magazine is a Slack channel that I visit. So I don't really know the culture, but I have heard that that's true.
Scriberia is really clever, but I just think we've talked about it a little bit on the show, but I just think that that whole story just isn't good enough. Like the whole thing isn't good enough. Like nothing cool happens. Like
no. I got some good hotel porn when they went to Morocco. Oh baby, the tile work.
That was great tile work. But I just think that like the only thing cool happening now is that the real Anna Delvey is slandering the dorky Vanity Fair reporter on her own Instagram from jail.
But I think the good part about these shows that don't really matter and don't do anything, you're allowed to kind of be the first people to plant the seeds of other things. Like there's a storyline where there's a trans actress who's like having sex with a seemingly straight guy. And I was like, I feel like this is the first time I've seen this on like major television. And I was like, that's pretty good. It's cool to see that progress, which is sort of like, to bring it back to podcasting. Podcasting has sort of become the like starting point of so many of these documentary process style stories when Hulu won't buy your fucking doc and you go down the line of all the networks. Next thing you do we have $8,000? Let's turn it into a podcast.
We've just become like all of us here. Podcasting has just become like, not just, but in many cases, it has become like IP cookie licking. And it makes me really sad. It makes me feel like...
cookie licking?
She's right.
That sounds like the name of like a shopkeep owner in the 1800s.
No, that's a 100 Gex song. That's the whole thing. She brought it all the way back around.
Either or. Yeah, she's good. Okay, IP cookie. So it's turned into IP cookie.
Oh my God,
looking.
you guys are so fun.
I need a translation for that, please.
No, I just feel like they're like, okay, one day we want to make a movie, but we don't have the funds. Exactly. Like we only have $8,000 right now. So let's make a podcast. And it doesn't really matter if the podcast is good or not, but we've licked this cookie and it's ours so that we can make the movie of it later.
Yes.
And it makes me feel like the craft that I've grown to care for is really just like a clone that's being raised for an eventual organ harvest. Like it's not, I don't know. There are a lot of people that are vested in like claiming the story to really do justice to in a different medium. That's not necessarily audio.
So it's like buying up domains of all these things in hopes of one day.
Yeah. Avery, I apologize for buying avtrufelman.eth, but we can talk off pod about how much I'll charge you for that.
Chris is a crypto addict. He means nothing personal by that.
It's not personal.
It's just business, sweetheart. It's just business.
It's not business, but this is a tough world. You know, it's a tough world.
Well, you've already offered me the Truff channel, so I don't know. We can come to an arrangement.
Oh, you think we're even? Okay.
No, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about
Oh, okay. I see.
Avery, speaking of we as a podcaster,
Yes.
is it still embarrassing to tell people that you're a podcaster, or now that you can become a millionaire doing it, it's less embarrassing, or were you ever embarrassed by it?
Oh my God. And I think about this all the time. It's only been embarrassing. I feel like it was embarrassing.
That's right.
When no one knew what it was. And then there wasn't even like a moment where it was fleetingly cool. It went right from what's that to my mom has one. And I don't know if people can still I don't know. I'm sure people can still be a millionaire. I feel like the gold rush is kind of over though.
What?
No, it's not. Don't say that to us. Do not say that to us. We are currently sifting for gold.
Yeah.
Well, Avery, what as a pod veteran, what makes you think that the door is starting to close? Because it seems to me like it's not.
Did you see that article that was like Spotify realizes all of their celebrity podcast hosts haven't made a single episode?
Yeah, look, Avery, we're not talking about these celebrities coming to steal our jobs. We're talking about
They're taking our jobs.
Us salt of the earth podcasters.
Well, I mean,
Exactly.
I've dealt with this before, so I know how to operate in this space. But as a person who was a DJ, who was then taken out of commission by your Pauly D's and your Shaquille O'Neal's taking money from my family, I'm used to these fucking Jason Bateman thinking he needs to do a podcast and get $60 million from Amazon when he's directing 5 movies at a time. I'm over here in Glendale. I don't even have a pool.
Wait, so do you have any?
It's fucking bullshit.
Do you have any advice? What do you do when the celebrities come to encroach on your?
You just have to do better, you know? It's just like, yes.
Oh fuck!
All you have to do is do better. Like many celebrities have podcasts. It could be them barfing into a tin can for an hour and they'll get 30,000 subscribers and listeners and make enough money to feed an entire family. But after a while, they'll fall off. They'll stop making episodes. They won't care anymore. They'll be bad at it. But you know, if you are good enough, the cream can rise to the top. It just gets harder and harder.
Okay, can I ask you podcasting questions?
Sure.
You've been monetizing from the jump.
That's right. You can direct this question at me. I'm the CEO.
Why do you keep Jason around if he doesn't do any of the booking or the editing or the?
No, he does do the editing, and he's really tall, which kind of helps. Yeah, it helps. Like people think he's hot and stuff, so it's kind of like
I'm the face of this audio-based podcast. Chris does all the work, but he's bald. So what are you gonna do? You know?
Yeah, I mean,
our mediums for the uggos. We keep the hot people out of podcasting. This is for us normies.
Do you want me to take 5?
No, Jason does all the editing. He's the most important part of this podcast.
Oh.
That was a joke earlier.
Oh, that's so cool. And that's another. Okay, I have questions about editing, but also I have a question about, like, were you in this for the money from the jump? Like, how important was the podcast Gold Rush to you?
I mean, it's important that we need to get in on it, but it's not the reason we started. I mean,
we are now, but at the time we started this podcast as just like a COVID thing,
right,
out of boredom. We had experience talking and conversating on air before, and then we're just like, let's just call each other on FaceTime and record it 3 times a week.
Yeah, and I hate to say this, but I'm in everything for the money, if I'm being honest. So,
sure.
I mean, it wasn't the goal, but once things started to look that way, it's like, all right, well, let's do it. I mean, I just think it's also like, I think a lot of people approach this now as like a job, but I think that's very recent. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's different for you, but I think that like people starting podcasts, I don't think there was a thought of making money until very recently. Like that was like a real possibility for people.
So wait, for you, does that mean like, you know, printing your collected interviews into a coffee table book or making a TV show? Like, do you think about this?
All of the above? Yeah, all of that. Are you kidding me? I mean, yeah, it's just like.
How did you know about our recent developments, Avery?
Yeah, this feels like you're talking to some of our agency friends, and I don't like it one bit.
Have you been speaking with Simon and Schuster behind our backs?
No, I just think that like, what's the point of doing anything if you're not going to like run it for real? I just don't. I don't like do things like that.
Well, and also we're speaking at this on-air podcast festival this weekend in New York. But the subject of it is like how to, you know, the importance of branding and blah blah blah. But when you like, we love brands and merchandise and, you know, how people market and all that stuff. And creating this podcast gave us a reason or an excuse to do, you know, what would a live show look like if we could do a live show, or sell merch? What would that look like? Like. So all the thing, you know, if we wanted to advertise with the brand, how would we want to do it? So you have like a jumping off point for all of that instead of like I want to start a t-shirt company, it's going to be cool, and then it fails. But
yeah, it gives us an avenue to do everything we want to do, whether that's a TV show, whether that's a book, whether that's a t-shirt, whether it's a tour, whatever it is. But I just think that like you said, it's historically extremely lame, and like you can't deny that or act like that's not true. And then it's like, all right, well, we can approach this. We come from, certain backgrounds that inform the way we approach it. You know what I mean? And I think maybe that's the thing that we do a little bit differently, is just like when you come from like a punk or hardcore, like DIY kind of background, this stuff is a little bit hardwired in the way that you operate. And it's like, that's just the way you think about it. You know what I mean? It's like a pretty natural approach.
That's so interesting. I never made that connection because like Roman Mars, who I used to work for, has a very punk DIY background. And I was like, why is he such an expert at being a businessman?
Really?
But I never really saw those things as being as hand in hand.
Podcasting inherently, it started in a time where anyone could do it with no, no friction. I could talk into my cell phone and hit upload on Anchor, and it's a podcast. And since anyone can do it, it's just like when they first invented all these things that anyone, the guitar was $100 and now everyone starts a band. Most of them are terrible, but you can get a Beatles, and like most podcasts are terrible, but there's some random kid in Idaho who just talks into his phone and then one day he's a millionaire off of it. I think that part's really cool about podcasting. I
mean, as you branch out, and sink your teeth further into your brand, does it make you more or less excited about the actual craft of podcasting itself?
Oh, I like podcasting more now than I ever have, probably.
Really?
I mean, obviously, I was partly kidding about the money thing, but like I make money doing other stuff. This makes money, but it's still really enjoyable. Like I really look forward to doing it. It doesn't bother me. I don't think it's not annoying. Like I don't mind doing it 3 times a week. It doesn't bother me at all. I never think about it.
He doesn't do it
negatively.
because he has to do it. He does it because he likes to do it.
Do you not feel the same, Jason?
No, I absolutely feel the same. I think, ideally, hopefully if our brand continues to grow and, you make money, turning into a TV show or merch or whatever, we still know that podcasting, like this show, it has to keep getting better and better as we grow. Like it never, you can't rest on your laurels. You can't sit back, because as somebody who listens to a lot of podcasts, you can kind of see it's like a stock market of like, they're on the rise, they're on the decline. And if a show is on the decline long enough, people stop listening.
We've all done that.
Yeah, just like I used to love this show, and then they turned into a fucking Republican dog, like alt-right dog whistler guy or whatever it could be, or like they just simply got unfunny, or they started getting terrible guests, or they were lazy with their cadence and they lost their mojo, whatever it is. Like I can't let that happen to our podcast. So it's always the thing that we put most of our work into.
And we said at the beginning of the year, because we had the tour and we did all this other shit, and it was like, all right, let's just like podcast for a while. Let's just like do the show. Like, let's just get
back to basics.
Yeah, let's just get as good as we can at this, because it's fucking. I mean, it's like there's people that suck, and when there's people that are bad at the job that you both do, and they're making more money than you, nothing gets me going more. Nothing gets me going more than Charlemagne the God and Andrew Schultz making millions of dollars on that podcast. Mm-hmm. When I'm like, this isn't good. This isn't funny. Like, it has its moments, of course, but like, how did this work? And like, it just keeps me going. That's what pushes me to be better.
But when you say better, when you're like, the show needs to get better, this like weaves back into the initial question of like, I don't understand why your show works and why I like it so much. When you say like, make it better, does that mean make it more controversial, full of more like witty bon mots? Like, what are you searching for 3 times a week?
No, I mean, I think getting better means it's some like 10,000 hour shit. It's some how much time you spend in the gym shit. It's just like you can do it. It's not even about guests. It's not even about listenership. It's about being really good at the conversation. And I think that comes through when you enjoy it. And I think that like that's the hardest thing for other people. I think when it starts to feel like a job and it's like a thing you got to show up for, it becomes a different animal. And I'm not going to let that happen.
It's just so funny. It's like two wildly different approaches to conversation, because my whole thing is I'm like, oh, I got to do a ton of research to like make sure that this conversation gets like elevated and I get everything I want. But I feel like you two are talking about it almost like it's a sporting event. You have all the tools you need already and you just need to like train and perfect yourself. And I feel like I'm practicing for a recital.
Yeah. I guess it's like stand-up comedy versus theater or something like that.
Yeah.
Like you're practicing day in, day out this, to nail it perfectly. And we're, like we start off bad and eventually you get better at telling your jokes. Like you might not get funnier, but you just get better at them. And then also you have to always evolve whatever it is you're doing so that you're entertaining yourself. Otherwise, you're gonna, like Chris said, you're just gonna fall off and no one's gonna care anymore. But like since I'm recording this episode, I'm going back, I'm listening to it and editing it. Like if I don't think it's funny, I'm gonna cut it, and next time I have to remind myself to be funnier or whatever it might be.
Yeah, but I also think I think both of these approaches are right.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like I think both these approaches are right, and I've listened to many podcasts and even before this did one that was more similar to what you're talking about. There's a lot of research, there's a lot of editing. It's a very different approach. I just think there's so much value in both. I don't think I don't think it's one versus the other. I think it's like it's just two different approaches. And thinking about it like
two different genres.
Yeah, thinking about it like a sport is pretty funny, but like I don't think you're wrong. Like I think it's like about getting better, and I don't think I think that's a practice issue. More than a preparation issue for what we're doing.
Maybe less of sports and more like dogs in the dog park. We're the two golden retrievers that just want to play. But also, if it gets serious and you want to talk about when you were raped as a child, we'll go there.
I just like, no, it's interesting. I just feel like it's, how do I put this? It's not like one is right or wrong, but I think there is such a thing as like popular taste. And I think popular taste, and it's what we were saying before. Like, there's a reason I think people are way more interested in videos that look like they're made on a phone than like professional quality videos. I think people are very invested in this idea of like ease and some sort of, okay, this is my pet theory that has no basis in anything. But I just feel like there's this interest in watching people be themselves, like more of the athlete style thing. We love watching preternatural talent that's like scrappy and, and very DIY looking. And my pet theory is that this relates to the widespread popularity of ideas like universal basic income and this idea that like everyone has an inherent specialness to them.
Well, I wouldn't say that's true. Let's not go that far. I'll have to disagree with you there.
Well, everyone might not have an inherent specialness, but we can find a way to entertain ourselves with somebody despite their mediocrity.
I think that's one of the biggest problems in our society is that everyone does think they're special. Everyone thinks they can be famous. Everyone thinks they're the main character of the story. And it's like, that's just not the truth, and but I also don't think like having conversations with people is some, I've been touched by the hand of God. You know what I mean? I think it's just like, if you enjoy something and you work at it, you will probably get better at it. I don't know if that means you're going to be the best. I don't know if that means you're going to be famous. I don't know if that means you're going to be rich, but you should get better at it if you put the effort into it.
Yeah. I guess I just mean like aesthetically, I think right now it's more pleasing to hear someone be like brilliant off the cuff than like read from a exquisitely executed script. I think that's like what I want and what people want.
Yeah.
Are you tightrope walking with or without a net? Which one's more interesting?
Exactly.
We're tightrope walking without the net, but then I add the net in post. So it's win-win.
That's what I'm really excited to hear. I normally don't like to listen to myself at all, but I'm totally going to listen to this episode and see how much you actually edit.
Oh, yeah. So you said you had some editing questions.
Yeah.
Are you an edit slut? Because I am.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Okay. All right, guys. Let's save this for the Patreon because no one wants to hear this. So if you guys, if you guys want to subscribe to Jason's OnlyFans where he talks about editing, you guys can go ahead and just...
Speaking of not making money doing podcasting, that's why we don't have a Patreon.
Why not? Just because it's gauche?
It's lame.
Because we did it our way.
We did it our way. Sinatra voice. It's lame. I just think that I mean, we've talked about this so much, but it's just corny. Like I want as many people to hear this as possible. That's the goal. So as
we
soon
want
as
as many ears on this. Plus, we don't think anyone wants to give us any patronage.
Yeah, no one likes us. Yeah, no one likes us enough to give it. We're not likable.
They like me a lot, but not in a this guy needs $10 a month from me kind of way, you know?
Like I think like the thought of giving some I mean, I don't really pay anybody. I mean, do you pay people to listen to their stuff? That's what I thought. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, let's bring it back to the exciting world of sitting in front of the computer alone with headphones on, please.
Come on, Chris, let me have this.
No, you can, of course. TJ, take it.
I mean, will you cut out my ums? And if I stutter, will you cut out my stutter? How real do you like to keep it?
I used to really cut everything, but now I don't. I cut out long ums and stutters when I can, but if the cut is going to take more than 10 seconds, I let it fly, just because we release 3 episodes a week and I don't have time. Like this episode will be uploaded in 7 hours.
That's bananas. So I assume you don't do any like big structural edits. Like the conversation will continue to flow. It's not like you're going to take part of the middle.
No big structural edits, but I usually do between 1 and 400 cuts every episode.
Wow.
Oh damn, this guy. Okay, now we're talking numbers. Okay, I didn't know it was like I didn't know it was like a batting average type shit in here.
But you got. But I like to. But I've gone. I do it as natural as I can without it annoying me too much.
That's so cool. I think that's also part of the reason why your show works. Like you can hear the care.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, you absolutely.
And also, I also believe that there's like a certain cadence that conversations happen at where it becomes sort of hypnotic, and that's like a sweet spot that I try to get into, where you look and you're like, damn, an hour has gone by already.
Yeah,
my anti-drug.
Yeah, DJ Them Jeans is not putting the drums behind the Rihanna song now. He's just merely cutting out my ums. So it's
like a stem player. I could drop those drums out whenever you want.
Exactly. Good point. Yeah.
Avery, speaking of Kanye West, you have a podcast called Nice Try about utopian communities. We've been talking a lot about how like Disney has been making these communities. Kanye West has been thinking about making these utopian societies. All of them obviously sound very scary and are red flag scenarios, but after doing your research on these utopian communities, are there any that you were actually like, damn, I could live here?
I mean, I feel like they all get to a point where, I mean, that's why utopias are such a beautiful narrative arc, right? Because there gets a moment where they're like, hey, this seems pretty great. They descend downhill precipitously. So it's weird. I feel like in all the utopias I looked at, there was like a fleeting moment where they seemed like they were really onto something and really ahead of their time and very beautiful. So I don't know, but listen, I like the show is about failed utopian communities, which is obviously so much more fun to look at places that crash and burn. And so we can be like, thank God that we're stuck in our, capitalist hedonic treadmill and don't want to try for something better.
Hell yeah.
I think utopias are possible, and I'm pretty sure smaller ones exist out there, and their stories are just not as good. And it's just like their dramas are about the chore wheel and like not anything thrilling and exciting. So honestly, like I'm all for it. I'm all for these utopian ideas. Why not?
The only one I'm interested in is Scientology, if I'm being honest with you.
Wait, why Scientology? That's like for-profit sci-fi.
Have you met Chris?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, the for-profit part he likes. The sci-fi not so much.
I like I don't like sci-fi, but I like that there's like a buy-in. I like that you got to have some skin in the game to join the society. You can't just show up.
You have to be pre-approved for this.
You can't go to, it's not like going to church and they accept you. They're like, all right, well, let's see. So, your last couple pictures didn't do that great. But I did see that Tom and Will, and that does help.
So it's like if Soho House had a jail. That's what Scientology is.
Exactly. Yeah, Scientology is if Soho House had a jail. It's exactly what it is. No, I mean, I'm not actually I think being fascinated with Scientology is very like 2014.
Totally.
But I do think it's like when you live in LA and it's like actually you see it all the time. It's strange that it felt like it was there was a time where there's the book and then there's the show and there's the show and then there's the book about how it's so crazy. Nothing happens. Nothing affects it at all.
No, but this is the real documentary. This guy's from the BBC.
Yeah, it's literally like that every time. It's like, oh my God, did you see this? And it's like, guys, this shit, nothing matters. Like nothing matters. They're completely unaffected by it, much like the Christian church, which is, pretty impressive when you think about it.
You think there are still people in the basement being tortured?
Hell yeah.
100%. Yeah, who cares?
Tom Cruise is pissing on him right now. Doing one of those weird laughs.
The fact that it's been like in the public eye for this long and so many people think they've like done the definitive gotcha story or book or movie and nothing matters.
It's like Bigfoot.
That's so upsetting. That's so upsetting. Wait, Bigfoot? Bigfoot must be stopped.
No. I mean, we've been trying to take him down. Same with old Nessie over there in Loch Ness. We've seen blurry photos, but where's the proof, sis?
I think it's more concerning that celebrities have embraced Christianity. Like Scientology is cooler.
I guess Scientology is cooler than Christianity. It's the lesser of two evils.
Avery, are you familiar with Mosaic?
No.
It's like church for people who know what matcha is.
Yeah, exactly. So I drove by
and are like sort of okay with gay people.
Yeah. They wear fear of God slides to worship. That's the kind of vibe it is. But I drove by the other day and I saw that they had like a gaggle of SoulCycle style spin bikes.
No.
That's right. So I'm like, these motherfuckers are coming for exercise. That's where I draw the line.
Taking a page out of Righteous Gemstones, though, Chris, the God Squad.
It's very Righteous Gemstones, but I just find that to me is much more offensive than like a proper secretive cult.
Exercise bikes?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like exercise bikes were already coming for the church. Like, I'm glad that religion reclaimed them. They're like back from SoulCycle.
SoulCycle became your church, and then then Christianity was like, we need to acquire them, just like how Spotify needs to acquire Chartable. That'll pay off in the future. Very interesting. I like that. We started this podcast only virtually. We've never done a podcast IRL.
Whoa.
With a guest. We've never interviewed anybody in person, and I know that you prefer IRL interviews, had to go virtual. How much do you miss the IRL game, or do you, are you starting to get used to going virtual only?
Welcome to the dark side.
Wow, wait, Jason, was that research? That's so sweet. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that question.
You're very welcome.
Don't gas him up. I'd rather hear about Park Slope mask rules, but go ahead.
No, I don't know. I miss being in person because I feel like it's harder to kick you out when you're in someone's apartment. So I could if I wasn't getting what I wanted from the interview, I could just sort of stay longer.
Like a creepy guy trying to get his ding dong sucked?
One could say that. It's true.
I'm just going to ride this out. You can't kick me out, baby.
I'm here now.
Yeah, you invited me up.
So yeah, you can just hit leave chat on the Zoom and you're gone forever.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're on my living room, I got to be like, ugh.
Yeah.
Okay, do you ever, but I mean, the thing that I like about going virtual versus IRL is you could say things to somebody that you might not necessarily feel comfortable with saying face to face.
You coward.
Yeah, Jason, like that ding dong joke Jason just made, he never would have said that shit to you if we were in the room together.
Oh, that's so sweet. All the bluster.
Yeah, I mean, actually, Chris, that's a prime example. I'm not worried about somebody being like offended by something I say or being upset. I'm more worried that that'll then be more work. Like it'll be harder for me to recover from a risky comment. Mm-hmm. IRL versus virtual. Like you could lose the room much longer IRL versus virtually. Where I can just ask you another question, and in 10 seconds we forgot about a failed attempt at making a joke or something.
It's so funny. This is I don't really think about that because I chop my interviews into such little smithereens. So I don't even like the way you are thinking of like the flow of the conversation as a cohesive Gesamtkunstwerk is not how I think of like my in-person interactions. Honestly, I just like to, because I mostly interview professors and historians.
Professor Benny Blanco. Yeah.
You know how it is.
We've interviewed some greatest minds of our generation. Yeah, we can relate for sure.
Sometimes our guests ask us how we hold our penis when we pee and all kinds of professorial
Yeah.
questioning. Okay, so have there been any parts about doing your job virtually that you prefer then over IRL?
It's cheaper. I don't know. Like I'm interviewing someone in Japan soon. It's like, this is so awesome. I don't have to like hire someone. I don't know. I don't have to go to Japan. And also now that everyone's so used to the shitty Zoom sound, you know, I don't have to worry so much about quality. So that's also nice in a sort of DIY way.
Like being able to see someone is helpful for certain people. I feel
Yeah,
like.
yeah. I mean, do you think your guests prefer? I wish I could see you. It's kind of weird that I can't see you. It's strange.
Well, this is a power move on our part. No, some people really won't do it, are like no, but we think that there's the power of the camera off is puts some people at ease. Maybe not you because you're a pro, but like I think if people feel like they have to like get dressed and get ready for it, it makes it more of a to do than it actually is.
Yeah, we like to make it as low of a lift as possible, where you don't have to be, full glam squad hair and makeup to do this podcast that's audio only. But also, I think a big part of it is the how you're listening to something, and when it's a live conversation with a few people in the same room all talking to each other. I think it's better to consume that as an audience member of it happening live. And if you're going to be listening to it while you're washing the dishes or staring out your window or whatever, I almost prefer to record this conversation while I'm staring out the window,
Yes. You go method.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very serious. He's a very serious actor.
I hate listening to a live podcast in front of a studio audience. It's just...
Why?
I don't know. It seems like... It's like having sex with the condom on. It's like there's a barrier there where like I wish I was actually in the room so much that I don't really care to listen to it.
Are you directly attacking Wait, Don't Tell Me? Like who else could you possibly be talking about?
It happens a lot. It happens, not a lot, but like comedians will record live podcasts in front of an audience or like...
Oh, sure. Comedy.
Do you watch anything on YouTube, Avery?
Anything?
Like no podcast. I mean, do you watch podcasts ever, or do you only listen?
No, I don't do that. Well, now I feel so embarrassed. I was like, there's only Wait, Don't Tell Me. There are no other podcasts. Like my scope is so. I have a hard time branching out from like the world I know.
Even though you're younger than us, you're much older than us.
How old are you guys?
I'm 41.
39.
I feel like our age difference is negligible. It really is.
Okay. Well, you still feel like a young grandma to me.
Thanks.
But like a cool way. Not a grandma, my grandma.
Yeah, I see. That's a big difference.
Is his grandma cool?
She's no longer with us.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I've actually built with her before, and she is quite cool. She had a great way of sitting. Is one of my major takeaways. Like really folded up in a way that was aspirational and also visually cool.
I learned from the best.
That sounds very elegant.
I too like to fold.
I just went to see the Andy Warhol exhibit at the Brooklyn Museum the other day, which was actually really interesting. I have to say, Chris, it made like Catholicism look very chic because that guy went to church every Sunday and it was all about the role of religion in his life. And I only bring this up because it turns out he told everyone he was 10 years older than he was all the time. So that people be like, oh my God, you look great. Like, why be a tired 39-year-old when you could be a hot 50-year-old?
Damn, that is
I kind of want to do that.
Because it takes a lot of balls and no one suspects you're going to go 10 years over.
Yeah, exactly.
That Warhol.
A visionary.
Posthumously. Still killing it. Well, Avery, we got to wrap things up here in a minute. We got to hard out. Do you have any more Trufelman questions for us as we begin our descent into LAX?
Oh my God, you're hard out. Oh my God.
I said this in the intro, but you have the best name of anyone we've ever had on this podcast. I want to give you the award to your face. Avery, if you don't mind, I don't want to peel the curtain back too much, but what's the middle name looking like?
It's a very middle name. It's just Claire.
Oh no, but I like that. It brings you back down to earth.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
It really rolls off the tongue. It's really nice. I really like it.
Thank you so much. You know, the funny thing about my name is like, it was genuinely a typo in Ellis Island. Like there are no other Trufelmans except there's like my tiny family, which is, 4 people here in New York. And then when we all joined social media, we started seeing all these other Trufelmen, and they're all in Buenos Aires, and it's spelled the same way.
Whoa.
And we were just like, what the fuck? Like, who went and had some kids in Buenos Aires? Or like,
Who be fucking in Buenos Aires?
what's going on? So I don't know. One day I want to meet them. And we like tried to communicate before Google Translate was very good. So we didn't get very far. But like, I see them out there. Their names are like Herman and Hildy. Like, I see them.
Okay, so when does season 1 of Finding Trufelman come out? Because this is your next podcast.
Fund me. Give me teach me how to brand.
Fund me.
Like, please, $20 for my Patreon, please.
We'll go over financials off pod, of course.
Yeah, we can
but-
talk.
Okay.
We can talk financials. Later,
Avery,
don't
thank
worry.
you so much for chatting with us. We really appreciate you taking the time, and people can find you on social media. And do you have any like new things you want to plug coming out?
No, I have no idea what's next. Good luck with your 400 edits. Thank you so much, Ethan.
I don't know if I told you